The Stage Door Show, celebrating the independent artist. With your host, Dave Hondel.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Stage Door Show. Tonight, this is Dave Hondel. I have a talented athlete with me tonight who has intrigued me because he's a world champion in the sport of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu at the age of 20. And he's showing no signs of stopping. So please welcome to the show, Jacob Brown. Thanks for being with us, Jacob.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. I know that Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, say that 20 times fast.
Yeah.
It's a great sport. I'm a little bit familiar with it. But why don't you, for our listeners, kind of describe the type of, sport it is, discipline when it comes to MMA and really about the history of it.
Well, I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when I was 6 years old, and I started back in Newark, New Jersey, and my aunt has introduced me to Jiu-Jitsu at that age, and she's a Newark police officer, police officer, and so I just started training with her, at her gym that she trains at, and so it's kind of how I just got started in the whole thing, and I never really meant for it to be like a whole career at first because I was just like a kid, so it was like I kind of started off as a self-defense type of like training, so it was just for me, and I used to be like bullied back then, when I was little, so it's kind of just for self-training purposes, and so I really just really liked jiu-jitsu ever since, and ever since now, and that's so I stood in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and it's like it's just like grappling, it's like similar to judo, but Brazilian jiu-jitsu is more on the ground, and so it's like fighting self-defense when you're on your back or taking somebody down to the floor. Basically, it's like all grappling.
I mean, there's got to be a lot of technique driven type of discipline when it comes to the arts like that, and I saw a lot of video and like you said, a lot of stuff on the ground, but you have to always be in it with your head, right? I mean, there's a lot of technique, so when you're on a certain position, I mean, you're always going to know your next move. You got to almost kind of think ahead, right?
Yeah. Jiu-jitsu is very technical. So you always got to like think about your next move. You can't just go in there and try to like pull off anything. It's not going to work. You always have to strategize in jiu-jitsu. That's what it's all about.
So how do they score it? I mean, I know that you're a world champion and you have been for quite a few years. I mean, it looks like here you were world champion at the age of 12 and then again at 16. So talk about the scoring. Like how do you get judged on the sport and how do you become a champion, I guess? I mean, is it like a number scoring system?
Yeah, in the tournaments, it always goes by scores or submissions. So like anytime you take somebody's back, that's like 4 points, or you get a side control, that's like 2 points, or a takedown simply by taking down with a double leg or a single leg shot, or even any type of takedown movement is always 2 points. So you got either score or getting a submission like a rear naked choke or a border or cross collar choke is an instant win, or like an arm bar. Even at the beginning of the match, you automatically win as long as you get a submission. So that's how you always win tournaments.
Oh, is that what they call tapping out? If somebody taps out, is that
yeah?
Is that in this as well?
Out. Yeah. And every round is like 7 minutes long in purple belt division.
Are there different weight classes and different things like that, kind of like in wrestling, where there's like different classes that you actually compete in?
Yeah, there's the different weight class for every division. So I fight in the 141 division. So every tournament, it's 141 to 141 is the max, and I think the lowest you can be is 127 to 141. So I stay at least about 137 to 141 for my weight. I
gotta talk to you about this because I saw that you have a nickname, the Bull. So talk about that. And how did that come about?
Jacob the Bull Brown. That's a good question. It really started off as I don't know. I guess I kind of went based off my zodiac sign, and I'm a Taurus, so I feel like it's just that made sense also. Because the bull and bull goes hand in hand of like who I am and my zodiac. And I just feel like also when I was younger in competitions, I was just really like I was really like hard, you know. It was really like my fight style was quick and it was like rough, you know. So I was like, oh, I was winning there ramming, you know, like a bull, like, you know, just rampaging, you know. As a kid, I was just like super aggressive, you know, but super like hard at the same time. So I just felt like it just kind of made sense. And we just said, man, Jacob's like a bull, like, you know, he just goes in there and puts a fight on. So always got to give the crowd a fight. So we just came up with Jacob the Bull.
Do you ever get when you go to competitions? Do people intimidated by you because of your being a champion? I mean, whenever you step in there, I mean, to the ring or whatever, the circle or wherever you compete. I mean, is that something that people the mat? I mean, do people get intimidated when they see you?
Yeah. I've always had, you know, opponents that were intimidated by just you know, just throughout my career, you know, just everything that I built, you know. I can imagine how they feel, you know. It's like, man, if I was me, I'd be intimidated to look at myself too, you know. But yeah, you know, just my whole reputation, you know, I've won so many fights, you know, throughout my young career and even now. So but yeah, definitely a lot of intimidation in tournaments.
How do you, I mean, talk about the training, because you know, people don't get to be a champion for nothing. I mean, you work hard. How many days a week do you train, and how long a day? I mean, how long a days are they when you train?
I train at 3 to 4 hours a day. Every day I wake up in the morning. I wake up at least about 4:30 in the morning to get ready. Because I train from 6 to 9. And that's 3 hours in the morning. And then I do strength and conditioning about twice a day, 3 times a day. And just depending how my body feels, you know, how much I'm putting my body through, I'll take like a rest day and then just continue again, you know, just keep going. And I always get like therapy, you know, just to make sure my body's always in condition to always be ready to train and, you know, make sure I'm fine for competitions. So I never really let my body break itself down, and I don't want to, like, you know, feel injured or nothing. So always taking care of myself in that part. But yeah, I put in the training like many hours a day.
You know, and you have a competition coming up, which we'll talk about in a second, but talk about now, like when you do have a competition coming up, you know, what kind of diet do you put yourself on as far as, like, you know, the eating and food and, you know, along with the exercise, but what do you eat during this type of, ready for something like that?
So I'm eating clean now for the upcoming competition I have is Worlds, IBJJF Worlds. And so I'm just eating, like, you know, clean, like chicken breast, you know, salmon, salads, eggs, you know, got to keep my protein in, and just, like, you know, chocolate milk, you know, just like all natural nutrients and high fiber foods, you know, to help stay clean and keep my system. And it really just involves, like, you know, really clean eating and vitamins. So, you know, just stuff like that.
Yeah. What do you, I mean, do you avoid things like soda and things like, do you just drink straight water?
Yeah, I don't drink soda at all. I completely cut that off. I cut all types of bad sugar out my diet. Even in the regular lifestyle, I don't ever drink soda or not a lot of juice at all, really. I drink a lot of Pedialyte, just really a lot of water. I always like to just keep everything normal, you know, natural substances.
Yeah. So where's your favorite place that you've ever competed, like geographically?
Favorite place? I went to Portugal. I think Portugal has to be my favorite for sure. You know, that was just one of the biggest experiences I had being over there. It felt like so different. I felt like I was like somewhere else. I mean, I was somewhere else, but, you know, like it's just like different. You know, it's like going to a different country for jiu-jitsu and just looking at everything. The experience, it's amazing. You know, it's just the views and the people you see. It's like it's different. I love it though.
No, the Worlds, we just talked about that. Where is that being held coming up?
Worlds being held at Long Beach.
Oh, right in California there. Okay. And that's
Long Beach Pyramid.
You're out in the West Coast yourself, right?
Yeah, I live here in the West Coast.
Wow, okay. Long Beach. I love Long Beach, actually. It's very familiar with Long Beach. So well, best of luck for that. But, you know,
thank you.
The other thing I want to talk about is, you know, the more you win and the more notoriety you get, you know, I know you have a lot of followers on Instagram and social media. And so, you know, one of the things that we talk about with our guests is, you know, is the fact that, you know, once you get to that level and you have a lot of followers, you know, you have a lot of responsibility to those people that are following you. Right. And lot
Of
of
course.
responsibility to make sure that you do things the right way and stay humble in the whole thing. So, talk about the importance of that, because I know you're kind of at that level at this point.
Mm-hmm. Well, anytime, I compete and I get like a lot of notice from people in the community. I always keep myself humble because, I've always been about that ever since I was young. I've never been the type of person to feel cocky in any way, shape, or form. And I just it's all about image, like what type of person do you want to be, when it comes to being a sportsman guy in jiu-jitsu, like how do you want to act, like what do you want to reputation, what type of reputation you want to build in the community. And for me, I feel like I want people to see me as a very humble fighter, because that's what I am and that's what I like to show. And anytime I win like big tournaments or just competing in general, I always show respect to my opponents, and every time, and it's a hard fight when you get in on the match. You guys go off. You fight your hardest, and then the minute the match is over, it's all love. And so that's what I'm all about in the sport.
Do you ever have young kids come up to you and like, watch your picture, autograph, things like that? Do you ever get that? And just you feel like you're an ambassador to the sport?
Yeah, of course, many times. Growing up through my whole career, even when I was young, I've always had kids always come up to me and like say what they're inspired by me, or like they really just look up to me and like everything I've done in the sport, and they would just be, and it makes me feel really good in a way where it's like, man, like I really put like a lot of good influence in the kids and the people out there. So I'm really happy I can make people feel like that, because eventually when I get my black belt and stuff, I want to open up my own academy and give back to the jiu-jitsu community, teach them jiu-jitsu and, respect to the others in the community, and just, everything I did for them, I just want to give back to everybody else.
What kind of advice can you give that younger person that's just getting into the sport? I mean, what's the main piece of advice? Maybe something that you wish you would have done better or different. Those types of things. What kind of advice can you give somebody that a lesson maybe you learned growing up?
I would say for definitely the young ones out there, that definitely stay committed. And it's really about like I always had support in the sport. It's best to have support by your parents. If you really love the sport, talk to your parents about it and be like, I want to stay in the sport. And then, a lot of parents, they really always drive their kids, into something they love, always support your kids, and for the kids, just really believe in yourself. I would say, don't let anything block your way. If you have a passion, if you have a goal, commit to that, And that's as long as that's what I did my whole life. I had my parents to be there for me, and they had my support, and really it helped me really focus on my career. And I grew up with a very strong mindset. So as long as kids think like that, I feel like you're definitely gonna make your way to the top.
Yeah, for sure. And then over the years, I mean, I know you're young, but have you ever sustained any injuries that put you back, and how did you deal with a situation like that?
Yeah, no, I definitely injured. Injured my shoulder right here. I think it's my collar. What do you call it? It was right here in the clavicle. That's
Right.
what it was.
Yeah.
But I really never really broke anything in the sport. It was mainly just like small fractures and whatnot.
I mean, how do you deal with the situation? Because I'm sure you have to sit out for a little bit. And have you ever missed any competitions that you wish you would have been able to compete in because of that?
Yeah. I've sat out some competitions. Man, I've injured so many times. It's hard to think about it because really, it sucks to sit out and miss out on tournaments when I'm injured, because I just feel like I'm missing out on so much. So it's like kind of like a mental thing with me. The longest I took was like 2 weeks off of training, and it just sucks. I kind of deal with it, and just help as much as at least I watch jiu-jitsu, when I'm not training. I like to watch videos about it, still like learn, and just watching really helps. So I mean, the time I'm not training, that's really what I do. And I also go to the academy just to watch a training. I sit out, but I watch, still the same thing as learning.
For sure. So you just looking at it from a different angle when you're not actually in it, you're watching from a different angle. You still can learn like anything else. It's always about a learning opportunity. When it's all said and done, Jacob, years down the road when your career is in its twilight and so forth, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to have people walk away with when they think of your name?
I want people to think of me like somebody who's really like worked their best way to the top. I mean, it's hard to put it in a way where it's like somebody who really gave his life to the sport, because I feel like that's really what I'm working for. Like I really did put a lot of work into my career. Like I've started so young, so it's like it's been already 15 years in jiu-jitsu. So I really want people to notice the work I've really been putting in, and I just feel like it's been so much I went through. So I went through so much, even like mentally it's been rough. Physically it's been rough, and I want to inspire everybody. So that's really what I want to make people feel.
Oh, that's great. Great legacy, and I appreciate you being on the show, and best of luck to you. The upcoming Worlds in Long Beach there, and check in with us afterwards. Let us know how you did. We'll put it up on our site. But again, thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate that, Dave. Thank you so much for having me on this.